This video is to extend our discussion in class yesterday about the use of the debugger. So pay attention and let's see how to use it. Now this code is from GitHub and it's the code we were discussing yesterday. So I'm going to step through this application as well as call your attention to certain points of it because we'll be building up on it in future classes, as well as to make sure we're all really strong in using the debugger. So pay attention. So let's practice our debugging skills on something simple. So here we've made a simple console application, and let's try making one more class. So we'll say class calculator. And I expect you to be able to code at this level. If you cannot, follow this video 20 times if that's what it takes. It doesn't matter how fast you do it, it just matters that you get it done. So let's set up our class here with some variables. And next, let's write a method, and our method is going to be in charge of doing the adding. Right? So visibility, we said we'll make everything public for right now. That's not good in the real world. It's bad for security, but for development, let's keep it simple. And let's make it static, so we can call this method without reference to an object. And also, if we want to use a reference to our static sum variable, the method containing it must be static. So we'll say add, and we'll give it some parameters. So we'll say int number1 and int number2. And now just simply let's return this. Oh, actually, yeah, we need to give it a return type. So public static int. And let's see what's going on with the squiggly here. Not all paths return a value. Okay, so let's say return. And we will return. Well, let's do it this way. We'll initialize our sum to 0. And we'll say sum equals number1. Remember, we like to use keyword completion and IntelliSense. It saves typing mistakes, and it makes sure the variables you're using are available in this context. And I suppose this should be working properly now, so let's test it. So we'll save it, and then we'll go here and say debug, start without debugging. And of course, that's because nothing happened because we did not invoke our program here in main. So now I'm going to say calculator dot add, and I'll give it 2 parameters. And notice here I'm referencing the type, which is calculator. I did not make an object reference. Right? Just pay attention. We'll make object references later and you'll see the difference. Just be aware of what I did. Now we want to get this outputted, and because our method is returning an integerial value, we said that a method can be treated as being equivalent to a variable. So here I can say console.writeLine, and I'll use the formatting notation. And I know some of you people are saying you don't understand it, and my answer is I don't care. I don't require your understanding at this point. I just require you following the procedure, because the way I learn it, and everybody I know learns it, is you do the procedure multiple times, and then after you've done it about 20 times, it'll start to make sense. So if you say I don't understand that, my answer is too bad. What difference does it make? Just do the procedure and practice it. Do you actually understand when you turn the key in the car how the car engine starts? Maybe some of you do, some of you don't. Doesn't matter, you can still drive the car. So let's finish our brackets here, and now we should get the output, and we should prove that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. I really hope so, because if the math numbers of the universe have stopped working, that would be pretty bad. So let's save it. And once again, debug, start without debugging, and 2 plus 2 is in fact equal to 4, so good. So next step is going to be stepping through the debugger in our simple program. All right, now let's see about the debugger. So we use the debugger by setting breakpoints. So this area on the left right here, I think it's called the gutter. I'm not sure what it's called. It used to be called the gutter in Visual Age anyway. The way the program works is it starts the CSharp runtime environment, starts by looking for a method called static void main, and then whatever's there, it starts executing it. So let's start debugging at this point. See, I just clicked with my left mouse button, and now I have that little red dot right there. So now I'm going to start the debug, so I'll say debug, start debugging. And you see it's now paused, right? And it's highlighted, and I have that little yellow arrow and the red dot, and it's paused at this line, and I can now go and inspect my variables. There's basically only two things you ever do with the debugger. You see what's the path of execution of how it's stepping through your method calls. See, let's go up here to our stack frame. Right now we just have one frame open, which is that method. And down here we have our watch window. So now I'm going to go here. See, I could say continue. That would go to the end of the program or to the next debugging point. I could stop my debugger by clicking there. What I'm going to do is click on, and I have four options here: show next statement, step into, step over, or step out. And I'll leave you to play with those by yourselves. I won't give lengthy explanations at this point. Let's say step into and see what happens. And what do we expect to happen? Well, it has a handle on something, on a type called calculator, and it's going to jump down here to the add method. Now let's try right-clicking on calculator. So I selected it, I right-click, and now I say add watch. And down here it's saying calculator is a type, which is not valid in the given context. All right, fine. So now let's say step into again. See, as expected, we're now down on line 18, and we're in the add method. And now we're going to say step into, and we're now on line 19. You see the yellow arrow right there? And now we have some variables. Let's inspect them. I could do several things. I could right click and say add watch or quick watch. So quick watch gives me a little window if I want to trace it. So I'm going to say step into. Let's get rid of that. Another way that I like to do it, I find it's more convenient, is I say add watch, and then down here you see there's my sum variable. It's currently 0 because that's what it was initialized to. We haven't changed that yet. So now step into, and now sum is turned to being 4, you see right there, and we're now ready to return. So what's going to happen when we click into next? We expect it to go back up to its calling point. So step into, now we're at line 21, step into, and now we're back up here at line 9. And our program is completed running, and it's returned 4. So at this point I could say step into, I'm at line 10, and then let's end the program. At any point I could say continue. I could also stop the debugger because I don't need it anymore, but I'll say step into, and my program run is now done. And that is using the debugger. I don't think that's very hard. I think you're all smart people who can manage that no problem. The key to being a great programmer is 2 skills: drawing pictures of your programs before you start writing them, and using the debugger. If you can master those 2 skills, then you know everything you need to know to get a very well-paying job in programming.